Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Talkin Tech with Baba Jones. I'm here with Igor Grundle this morning.
Good morning.
So Igor is going to help us to kind of. He's going to be the question man this morning. We're going to walk through Facebook and Twitter. We're going to do kind of a basic overview of both services because we've already gone in depth with Google Plus, and I feel, like I said before, I feel if you can manage Google Plus and you can figure that out, then you can pretty much do any of the other services fairly easily. So we will. We're going to jump right in, I think.
And I think it's particularly important because so many people, it's a brand new or a brand new way to actively use it. So I think this will be very important for a lot of the listeners.
Absolutely. So let me go ahead and lock the in here. So we're going to walk through it just like we walked through Google Plus the first time. We're going to walk through from blank page to joining up, and then we'll get to posting and things like that if you've never joined any of those services before. So again, we have a blank window here. We're going to go ahead and just type in facebook.com. It comes up right away pretty quickly on mine since I use it a lot. The sign up page for Facebook is right on the front page. If you've not already signed up for Facebook, it's even easier than signing up for a Google account. You just type in a first name, last name, and an email address. Let's see, I have to remember an email address that I haven't already signed up to a Facebook account, and then re-enter another email, the same email address, I mean, and then put in a password. And then your birthday, you have to provide a birthday because Facebook has an age limit, and it's 13, so as long as you're older than 13, you should be good to go. You just got to enter Facebook. So I'm going to just scroll down here. I was born in 34 today. That's the sign-up process. So now you're going through the setting up your account process. So we'll find friends through my email address that I entered. You can also find it through your Windows Live, your Yahoo, your AOL, or another email service like a Gmail account if you have Gmail. So if you've already signed up for Google Plus and you've already added friends there, and they're already in your contacts list, then you can actually add those same contacts on Facebook if they also have a Facebook account. So it would be really easy. So I'm going to skip this step since I'm not actually going to add any friends on this particular go-around, since this is just a test account. So we're going to have skip. And then again, just like on Google Plus, you add some profile information like high school, college, work, some things like that, so that people can find you. If they are a coworker, then Facebook will go ahead and automatically say, "Oh, you're connected to these people through work," and things like that. Again, we're going to skip this step because this is just a test account. Again, just like on Google Plus, you upload a photo so that people know that you are who you are. You would add a photo there, just like you would on Google Plus. So if you've already, in fact, I would suggest that if you've already used a particular photo for your Google Plus account, that you also use that for your Facebook account, because it sort of keeps the branding together if you're using it for business. So you're kind of creating a cohesive brand across all of the platforms. So anytime you're creating a social account on either Facebook or Twitter or Google Plus or LinkedIn or any of the other social networks, I would use a consistent branding unless you're going to use the platform for completely different reasons. If you're not going to use it for business at all, then you can, put a picture of your dog there, and that's not that big of a deal. But if you want it to be professional, then I would add the same profile pictures throughout the services. So this is the Facebook window here. Now Facebook is, again, similar to Google Plus in a lot of ways, except the interface just looks slightly different. So on Google Plus, the stuff is a little more aligned to the left. On Facebook, it's quite right in the center, and then we'll share, to share a post, you share right here in the center column. Now, if we had friends added to this account, which we don't at this point because it's a bit more of an involved process to add friends, because I have to actually confirm you as a friend. as opposed to on Google Plus, where it doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. You can actually just follow people on Google Plus. On Facebook, you have to you actually have to there has to be a reciprocal relationship there. So if you add somebody to their friends list, they have to actually confirm that you are in fact some kind of friend or connection, and then you'll see their post. So you would see their post right here where it says there are no more posts to show you right now. That's where all of the posts would be populating. So over here, right here in the top, it says what's on your mind. That's the same thing as the Google Plus share what's new. So we'll say we are new. Now, just like on what the difference between Facebook and Google Plus are pretty significant, but the one for posting is that there aren't any circles to share it to. So it's by default going to be either public, friends only, only yourself, or you can make a custom, which you can sort of set it up as circles, but it's a little more complicated than it is on Google Plus to set up groups and separate sort of circles of people on Facebook. And also Facebook is constantly changing their privacy settings so that those groups can sometimes see each other's posts, so it's not nearly as secure. So I wouldn't use Facebook to share secure like business transactions and meetings and things like that. So basically it's public, friends only, or only yourself. Those are the three sort of circles on Google Plus. And you get that to right here next to the post button. And then over here is on the left-hand side, or the left-hand side of this box. It looks like a little silhouette of a person with a plus sign next to it. That's so if you want to tag someone in the post. So if you are, typing in, hey, we're hanging out for a Nikan in-home right now, and you want to tag the people that are there, you can go ahead and just click that little person, and then it'll bring up a window where you type in the people that you're with. But and it would also, just like on Google Plus, when you start typing in the names, it'll also bring up a little dialogue. But again, because I don't have any friends added to this account, you won't see that dialogue. Again, posting a new post, as we talked about before, it's just like on Google Plus. You just type it in there, you select who's going to see it, private, public, or otherwise. Typically speaking, you'll want to share it publicly, but if you only want, say, a select group of friends to see it, if you're sharing something more personal and you trust the people that you have put into your friends list, then you share it with just your friends. And then you just click post. So I'm going to click post. So there it is. It shows up right in the feed. So this is how we'll show how to interact with other people's posts. So just like on Google Plus, there are three different ways to interact. There's liking on Facebook. On Google Plus, that's +1. There's commenting, same thing on Google Plus, and then there's sharing, also same thing on Google Plus. So a like is basically just to say, I saw this item in your feed, and I want to interact with it. So, but I don't want to, I don't have anything significant to add to the conversation, or I don't have a particular thought. I just saw it, and I liked it. It's kind of they sort of set the bar with that. So you just click like. So then it comes up, you liked this. So if you want to make sure that someone is constantly showing up in your feed with Facebook, so you have a particular friend that you really like, and you want to make sure that you see their posts all the time, one way is to just make sure that anytime you do see their posts, you interact with it in some way, so that it tells Facebook, the computer algorithm behind Facebook, hey, I do appreciate what this person does. I want to see it. Make sure to feed it to me. And so the algorithm will eventually pick up that you do want to pick them up. So then there's a couple of different ways to comment. Either you can click the comment button, and it would bring up this dialogue, but of course we clicked like already, so it brought up the dialogue as it was, or you can just click like and it'll bring up the dialogue. So you write a comment, hi, and then you just hit enter. So you just hit shift enter if you want to enter a new paragraph. But if you just want to enter the post, I'll just put by to show that I separated the lines here. You just hit enter. Now it's got a new post, a new comment, I mean. So that's the commenting feature. very straightforward. And then sharing is just like it is on Google Plus, except there's a few different options here. So I started sharing the post. So I would, hey, he's new. Up here at the top, it says share on your own timeline, on a friend's timeline, in a group, in a private message. So those are the options you have to share. So if you want to send this particular post to someone else specifically on Facebook, I would put it on a friend's timeline, and then you type the friend's name. Again, this account doesn't have any friends, so it's going to be, this is a sad loner account. But if I had some friends, I would just type their name in here, and it would share it onto their timeline and give them a notification that, hey, you should be paying attention to this very specifically. You can also tag people in posts, just like on Google Plus, like we talked about on Tuesday. You just hit the @ symbol, and then all of these people come up. So so that's how you would tag people in a post. So then in a group, if you are involved in groups on Facebook, that's kind of a more advanced feature of Facebook. There you can set up groups that are similar to circles, except it's like a sort of like an email list on Facebook. So those are the different things about that. So you share it to the group's name, just like you would share it on somebody's timeline or in a private message. It's just like basically an email. So on Facebook, there's sort of this internal email system that they have. So that's how you would share a post. We didn't actually share it, but it would look essentially the same way as a regular Facebook post or like the sharing on Google Plus. So now what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to like a page. So we're going to go to the Royal Alliance. We're going to search for it here. Royal. Oops. There it is. So I typed in, I got as far as the Royal Alley, and it popped up right here on the top of the page, the Royal Alliance. You'll see our logo. So we're going to go ahead and click over to that. So this is what a page looks like on Facebook. So that's it's slightly different from a profile, but this is this is what this is. So so as you can see, we've posted quite a lot here. So we've got this is our last post. So we're going to go ahead and like this post. So again, that's just how you would like or share a comment. I'm going to actually share it to my timeline as well. Hey, they are live, and we'll show you what that looks like in a minute. So I'm going to share that. So again, sharing is the most powerful tool we have on any network that we're in. So if you're on Google Plus or Facebook or anything like that, sharing someone else's post is the most desirable for anybody, I think. So then to like a page, you just come to their page. So we're here, and then you just click this button up here. It says like, and then it'll change to liked with a check mark after you've done it, and then you will see them in your feed. So now we'll go back to the home screen, and to get to the home screen, you just hit the Facebook logo up here at the top. And now that we've liked it, we'll see that that their feeds or their posts are now in our feeds. So when you like a page on Facebook, it's kind of like adding them to your circles. So they'll show up in your feed here. Now notifications on Google Plus, all the notifications are unified under one button. I don't actually know if we went through notifications. I think we did. We did on the first call for Google Plus. So if you haven't watched the first call, you want to go back and watch that. But in Facebook, notifications are sort of split up into 3 separate categories. So there's right next to the Facebook logo up here, there's what looks like a silhouette of 2 people. That's your friend requests. So if someone has added you as a friend, you'll see it come up there. And when they have added you as a friend, a little red number will pop up next to these silhouettes. It shows you how many friend requests you have. The next one is your private messages. So it's similar to, as I said, an internal email system. So if you have any, they'll show up in here. And then the notifications, if someone's tagged you in a post or shared something specifically with you or any kind of those things, they'll show up in here. So they're kind of separated into 3 different categories. So you just want to make sure to pay attention to those if you're on Facebook, and just kind of make sure that you're there. So again, just like on Google Plus, you can find your friends. Now we're going to jump over to Twitter real quick, because Twitter, I think, is the one that people don't understand quite as much. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to go to twitter.com. On Twitter, the sign-up process is even easier. So you want to sign up, here's the buttons. Full name. It doesn't even have to be your real name if you don't want it to be, but if you want people to recognize who you are, we'll do that. We're going to sign up with the same email from Yahoo and a password. Sign up for Twitter. Password's okay. So then it takes you to the next page, and you just choose a username. That's the only second step. So you create your username. So here I'm just going to type in. I'm just going to take one of their suggestions, which they'll put below here. So usually they'll try and give you a username that is similar to your own name. But if you want to, say for instance, give some branding to it, you might want to throw, like, let's say Nikan Jones is one of them. So then it also says it's available, but it also gives you a couple other options here: Jones Nikan, Nikan Robert, and etc. So you just choose a username that is going to represent you and possibly even your business, depending on exactly what kind of uses you're going to be using it for. So then it says, keep me signed in on this computer. Yes, I want to do that. Tailor Twitter based on my recent website visits. What that basically does is Twitter does have some advertising in it. So it'll sometimes promote tweets to you that are relevant to some of your recent searches. I'm going to go ahead and uncheck this because I don't. It doesn't get rid of the advertising, but it also, this way, it won't track what I'm doing online. Again, here's the terms of service and the privacy policy. Always a good idea to read those things. I've already read them, and we won't go through the process of watching me read them here. But you definitely want to read those because it's good to be informed. So then create my account. And here we go. Now I'm on Twitter, and it's going to run me through a basic tutorial. So we're just going to probably see if we can skip this here. But if you are brand new to Twitter, it's going to teach you exactly what we're about to teach you. So again, start by following people. Just like on Google Plus, you're going to follow people, and they don't necessarily have to follow you. So it doesn't have to be a reciprocal relationship like it has to be on Facebook. You can follow them, and they don't have to follow you. But it's always good etiquette that if someone does follow you and you know them, that you follow them back. So I'm going to follow the Florida Gators since I live here in Gainesville. I'm going to follow Justin Bieber since it's Justin Bieber, and I'll follow the University of Florida Instagram. And I'm also going to search for Royal Alliance. Let's see if it searches and finds him. The Royal Alliance right there. I'm going to follow us as well and hit next. So now I've followed 5 people, and that's good enough for us. Stop. How do I exit out of the tutorial here?
Do we have Nikan also? Do they have a Twitter account?
Yes, they do actually. So let's we'll just search for Nikan, and it's probably going to bring up a whole bunch of people. But there's Nikan's headquarters, Nikan HQ. Yep. We'll follow them as well.
Yep.
And show all results. Nikan Europe, Nikan 5 Pillars is Mark Hayward, and let's see if.
So important would be like the Nikan headquarter, in Europe if you're doing business there. I think Latin America has one too.
Mm-hmm. Most of the regionalized Nikan people have a Twitter account.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just go on and search for Nikan and you look at all the results, you will find several people who are either posting about Nikan or are sort of Nikan representatives like the Royal Alliance or Nikan headquarters. So we're done with this. What? Okay, skip. There it is. So again, uploading an image, you want to upload the same kind of image that you've uploaded from for all of your other platforms, just so people know and they can recognize your branding across different platforms. So as they follow you on different sites, they'll know, okay, that's the same person. So that's my general rule. And then a bio, so Twitter is limited to 140 characters on most things. The bio is 160, but you want to keep things short and simple on Twitter. So we're going to skip that as well. All right, so yeah, we'd have to confirm our email. We're not going to confirm it this time, but it's the same process as before. Mm-hmm. So now we've followed 10 or so people as they've sort of walked us through. And as you can see, here's the Royal Alliance right here at the top, Royal Alliance 1. We've posted that we are live, so this is actually the live stream post, just like on Facebook. So there's a couple different options on Twitter. So I can reply, I can retweet, I can favorite. Again, replying is just like adding a comment on Facebook or Google+. So if I hit reply, it's going to say @RoyalAlliance1, which will tag them in the post to show that we have talked to them. And then we'll just post, we are live indeed. So we'll go ahead and tweet that. So now it adds it to the conversation.
So is this the spot where people go when we're doing live on presentations?
That's exactly right. So if someone has a question for us during a live show, they would go to Twitter specifically and just make sure that they're replying to us so that we can see it, and that's how we'll see it. So when we've seen a tag, it'll show up in our Connect tab, which is up here. So there's a home feed, Connect, Discover, and Me. So the Connect feed is where people have replied to you. So I'm actually going to go ahead and reply to that on my phone. You won't necessarily see it, but in that way we'll show it as it pops up in the. So that's the basic interaction on Twitter we call it an @reply. So you go to so you can see also via @GatorsOwnChris in this Florida Gators one. That's an @reply as well. It's kind of a mention. So he's tagged @GatorsOwnChris. So the power of that is, so the Florida Gators, as that particular account, have a huge following. They probably have, I don't know, maybe 1 million followers or so. Mm-hmm. So when they've posted another account, when they say via GatorsOwnChris, what they're saying is this person is important as well, and you should follow him. So it's always a link. So even on your phone or right here, it's a link, so you can click over to GatorsOwnChris's and follow him. So you can then see some of his tweets. You can see that he's got 8,000 so tweets. He's following 300-something people, and he's followed by 3,500 people as well. So then you can just follow him as well. Mm-hmm. So that's sort of how you would add more people as you're going along. So as you see people mentioning other people in their tweets, you can go, oh, these people are things that are posting things that are relevant to me that I can connect with. So that's sort of the other basics. Now, again, on our Connect tab, now we see that the Royal Alliance has replied to me. I did it on my phone. So what we see is on the Connect feed, anytime someone mentions you, you'll see it here, and also anytime somebody follows you back or is connecting with you in some way, like they're retweeting your stuff. We'll talk about retweets in just a second. It'll also show up in your Connect feed. So you'll see how people are interacting with your posts on the Connect feed. So let's say I want to retweet Nikan's tweet. So I'm going to go ahead and find it again. On your computer, the way to do that is you just kind of mouse over. There's those 3 buttons, reply, retweet, and favorite. You just click retweet. It's going to ask you, you want to retweet this? And you say, yes, I want to retweet this, and just hit retweet. So now what that does is take that same tweet and send it out to your followers as well. So it's just like sharing a post on Facebook or Google+. It takes the audience. You're in Nikan's audience, and now Nikan is in your audience as well. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the proper way to say it? So the power of that is, as people share posts back and forth, as people retweet other people, you'll, just like on Google Plus, as you share posts, they'll say, oh, Nikan headquarters has a Twitter. Okay, great, I should be following that if they're not already. Or they get the information from Nikan headquarters without having to actually have followed them with, so your downline is following you, they may not be following your, I guess it's called a cross line, is what Mike used last time. So, everyone in your downline may not be following everyone in Mike's downline, but if Mike is retweeting people from his downline, and you're retweeting Mike's tweets, then it sort of makes a web rather than a line. Does that make sense?
Right. The other thing is, for example, because we're still branding the Royal Alliance, so it's important to do the same thing here, to utilize, the retweets, the likes, the shares, so that we have a greater name recognition, and then more people within the whole field are more accepting these events that we're putting on, especially the live events.
Exactly. So that would be how. So I showed you how to retweet on your computer. On your phone, it's a very similar process. You just click into the tweet, and it'll show you. It has that same symbol. So it's like a rectangle with little arrows. So it kind of looks like almost looks like the recycle button or the recycle symbol, except there's only two. So that's retweeting. So again, part of your 3 tweets a day, although I recommend more than 3 tweets because the service kind of moves fast enough that it's good enough to just keep up. And once you find that you're using it, it goes really quickly. So what I do is I make sure that have Twitter on my phone, so that when people are responding to me, it actually gives me a notification on my phone. It makes a little sound, so that I know that someone is actually communicating with me, so that I can participate in that conversation in as real time as possible. So that, again, it's adding that human element to the online world. So that's kind of what social networking has done for the internet, is make it a human experience rather than just one of going to web pages and doing stuff. Don't do everything just for business. So I wouldn't only be promoting Nikan things. I wouldn't only be talking about stuff like that. So if you're into music, then follow some musicians and retweet their stuff and share their stuff and participate in their conversations. If you like art or you like sports or any of that stuff, participate in those conversations as well, because it makes, when people come to your Twitter stream, if they only see you posting links to your blogs or your Facebook or your My Nikan page, they're not going to pay attention to you. They're not going to want to participate in that one-way conversation. So make sure that there's some variety there, and that's true of all platforms. So if you, like I said, if you're into sports, talk about sports. Talk about things that you would talk about with friends, because that's the idea that you're trying to convey, is that you're a real person that people should be really interacting with, and once you've built that trust, then it's much easier to say, hey, if only one out of the 15 tweets you're going to do in a work week is, hey, go to my Nikan page and see what I'm really excited about in my business. If you've built the trust with the other 14 posts, then they're going to say, you know what? Yeah, that person, I like that person, I trust that person, I'm going to go check that stuff out. So it's about building that relationship, and that's true of any network.
So, Bobby, I have a question.
Go ahead.
For a lot of people, there's, of course, the matter of privacy, and also and I think also etiquette. Because when you look at Facebook, people usually, we see a lot of people that intermix private activities or things that they share as well as business. Is it good to have 2 separate accounts? One that is strictly for business, because you're blasting it out to everybody if it's public.
Right.
And so what do you recommend in a case like that?
Let me stop sharing my screen so we'll just chat for a bit. I recommend, actually I recommend having a bit of a mix if you're going to use it for business. if you have one that if you're heavily leaning towards like a personal account, and you want to use one for business, then it may be a good idea. I mean, it's kind of a per use basis. So if someone's got really close friends on Facebook that they that aren't interested in their business or already know or already involved in their business, then it's not that big of a deal. But generally speaking, what I would say is, if you've got a Facebook account that has personal friends, then why not share your business with them? Why not share Nikken with them? There's no reason not to. The only reason that the only time it would really conflict is if you're only using your Facebook for business. People may just not want to hear it at some point, and they'll turn you off on Facebook, and that's no good. So what I recommend on Facebook especially, but across all platforms as well, is to make sure there's at least a mix. So there's a few kind of rules of thumb that I go by right now. So I make sure that I post at least once a day on Facebook, at least 3 times a day on Twitter, and at least once or twice a day on Google+. So I'm active on all those networks. Now, the mix of posts I like to put out are it's a significant mix of personal and professional. At this point, I'm more personal than I am professional on my social networks because most of my business is contract work, so I don't necessarily have to make it a professional account. But if you're excited about like network marketing, then you'll want to make sure that you do share some of those professional posts. But as I said, don't flood people with only professional posts. Don't flood people with only business stuff. So what I would say is, as a general rule of thumb, if you're doing 5 posts a week, 2 of those posts can be straight promotional and business. At least 2 of the other posts are, sort of personal, anecdotal stories from your life, and then 1 post is a thought-provoking post from outside of yourself or your business. So, for instance, what I've done is it's related to my business or to the Nikken business, but what I do with the Royal Alliance account is I like to share personal stories of where some people are. So, if someone just broke silver, I like to make sure and share that on our Royal Alliance accounts. But then I also like to go out and find articles in the outside world from like Psychology Magazine about how sleep is affecting us, or how about how water is particularly bad in an area and how we need to, so they're related to the business, but they're not strictly business, if that makes sense.
Right. I like that, what you're saying. That's kind of what I'm trying to do, because I have personal and business things on it. Also because I know that strictly using it for recruiting is not necessarily the best tool. But what we're trying to achieve with all these platforms, if it's Google+, Twitter, or Facebook, is also a form of branding. Branding if it's the Royal Alliance, or if it's Nikken, or if it's ourselves, to other people. And just quickly, because it can be confusing. It's like, well, why 3 platforms? And others may have an additional platform, a private platform also. So it sounds almost time-consuming, because
to some extent it is time-consuming, but the benefit to your business is significant. Getting impressions out there, getting people to know you as a person is ultimately going to be a boon for your business, is ultimately going to be something really positive for your business. And then on top of that, creating impressions for, like, when, on all of these platforms, success in anything takes work. So there's no doubt about it that this is work. But you can spend 10 minutes a day. If that's as much time as you have, then that's as much time as you have. But you can spend 10 minutes a day to do this. There's also tools that speed up that process. I particularly like Hootsuite.com, which we haven't gone through. We'll have to do that in another call. but I use Hootsuite to manage most of my social accounts because I'm a social media contractor. So I manage 5 different accounts across 3 or 4 different platforms. So, for me, it's a lot of work. I mean, I spend,
Right.
Most of my day doing this stuff. And in fact, I just posted on Facebook last night on my personal account that, having a job in social media can sometimes take away some of the fun of social media because every time I log into work accounts. So I've got to find a way to set some boundaries for myself personally. But social media is work. There's no doubt about that. Making sure that you're promoting your business is work, but it's far less work than trying to make an individual phone call every single time that you're trying to promote a business, or to sending a letter, or to sending a fax, or handing someone a VHS tape. So, the trade-off is significant. Your audience and the broad base that you can promote to and talk to with social media is infinite. I think Facebook is at 875 million people on it now. So they have that. You have that potential to really reach that huge broad audience through other connections.
Right. Well, what I'm hearing is, it's like is not to be afraid of using it. But on the other hand, because it is a communication tool that is more and more accepted and more used, it is vital to integrate it into your business. Because when I started business, we still had the audio tapes and VHS tapes. Those times have gone to the wayside. I mean, sometimes, I really miss them, those times, because they were easy. You handed somebody a tape, and wherever they stopped listening, they continued listening. Now, that's not the way today anymore.
Right. But to be fair, now the transition that I think we're all making, especially in Nikken right now, is from that old technology to sending someone a link rather than handing them a tape. And so they can watch it at their own leisure. They can watch it right there on their phone if they want. So the connectivity is much closer.
Right.
Dave Johnson talked about in his show. When was that? A few weeks ago. Yeah. He talked about the 6 degrees of separation that we have in the world. So it used to be that dividing any 2 people were 6 degrees of separation. So you could, this connection through this connection through this connection through this connection, you could get to that second person. With social media and the internet right now, it is down to about 4. They've done a study on Facebook. Between any 2 people, there are 4 connections. So there are 4 steps to get to the next person. On Twitter, it's even smaller than that. It's only fractionally smaller. It's still around 4, but it's like 3.9 people versus 4.5. So the world is significantly closer, and therefore your business is significantly larger. The potential for your business is much larger. And also, when you're on Facebook and on Twitter and Google Plus and these things, what you're doing is creating a community of like-minded people around you. Right. And that's the same as you would for your business in general, what you've been doing for the past 10, 15, 20 years. But now it's online, so the communication is faster, and on top of that, it's more it's where people are now. That's the difference. I mean, almost everyone has a Facebook account. As I said, 875 million at the last time I saw. It might be more closer to 900 million at this point, or maybe even 1 billion. I'm not positive exactly how many users are on Facebook anymore because it's always changing. But that's where people are. I mean, my grandmother has a Facebook account. So, and she's 93, I think, 94. So, that shows, and on the opposite end, my 13-year-old son has a Facebook account. So everyone has a Facebook account. So there's no reason to not be on it. And increasingly, Google Plus is becoming the same way. But Facebook is, again, where people are. Now, the reason that I don't focus on Facebook as much as I focus on Google Plus, is Facebook has recently changed, and this is more techie than probably anybody needs to know, but it's important. Facebook has recently changed the way that they serve your content to your friends. So it used to be that if you had 30 friends and you posted something, all 30 of those friends would see that post, and no matter what, nothing stood in their way. Facebook recently changed that, so now Facebook has kind of decided algorithmically in the background who is the most important and close contacts to you, and they will only serve your feeds to those people all of the time, and then the rest of the people only some of the time. So it's a weird algorithm thing, and they haven't figured out how to. No one in the social media industry has figured out how to kind of beat that. But what they've also done is to make it easy to beat it is charge you. So if they'll tell you, hey, your post only got served to 15 friends. If you'd like to serve it to the other 15 friends, give us some money. So I don't like that business model. I think it's poor. So on Google Plus they don't do that, and on Twitter they don't do that. So those are the two platforms I focus on most with my personal business. But Facebook is important because there are so many people there. So it's not something to be ignored. It's just that I don't put as much time and effort into using Facebook as a promotional tool than I do as Google Plus, which is why we, as the Royal Alliance, have focused so hard on Google Plus and trying to get people there.
Very good, yeah.
So,
and I think it's also important to point out that you should not spend as much time. Give yourself a time limit when you use any of these platforms, because they can be very, very distracting from actually building your business.
Oh yeah, I have them on all of my mobile devices, and so I could lose a whole day just refreshing and browsing and talking to people. And sometimes that's okay. I mean, if that's what you've set out to do for that day is to connect with people on Facebook, Google Plus, and Twitter and have conversations, that's perfectly fine. But again, like you were saying, like you need to make sure that you're focusing on your business as well. So those are kind of some of the dangers of social media, but it's perfectly fine to spend time on it because you do need to spend time on it. So all these tools are about building relationships. So you want it to be at least a two-way conversation, not always one way. Because if you're only posting out, this is why we kind of make a diverse posting list. So you're posting personal and private and business and all the like a mix of those things. Because if you're only posting, hey, come join my business. Hey, I've got a business opportunity. Hey, business. What ultimately happens is people view it. The people on the internet are very aware of spam. So and that includes on social networks. So if that's the only thing you post, what equates in their mind is, oh, this is spam. So you want to make it a personal relationship. So you want to make sure that you're sharing other things and that you're also participating in the conversation. So as people communicate with you, as they comment on your stuff, you're also commenting back. Excuse me. You're making it a personal relationship. So that's as much as you can on the internet. So that's sort of the point of all these social networks. But again, like we've talked about, I think the Google Plus has the most potential to help you in your business.
These are great basic things. Start using it and have fun with it. It's a great tool. A lot of us have been using it for a couple of years now, and you always learn something by just doing it. So just do it.
Absolutely. So as Igor said, most people already have a Facebook page or account. As I said, 875 or 90 million people or something have a Facebook account. So I'm trusting that most people already have a Facebook account. They're not terribly unfamiliar, but that's kind of the basics if you are unfamiliar. So find some friends, find some people you already know. You can connect through email just like you could on Google Plus and get cracking.
Bobby, can you give us an example of what content to put into a tweet?
Sure. It's similar content to what you'd post on Facebook. In fact, there are ways to connect the two. But what I generally do is anything I find interesting on the web, I'll post to Twitter. Now, Twitter is a service that you can be using a lot more because it's faster and easier to use, and also because the service just goes faster. Posting one tweet a day is really not going to be an effective use of the tool. So I suggest no less than 3 per day. So the things you can be posting are anecdotal stories, again, so as short as you can get those, because it's short and sweet on Twitter. So it's only 140 characters. You got about 2 sentences total to get through. So, talking about, let's see what Niken is talking about. We can find them down here. So Niken says, proper nutrition is a key to wellness, taking steps now to ensure strong bones and can make a major difference later in life. So that's one example. Another example is, so you post a couple of those type of posts. So inspirational type of posts for your downline, interesting articles you find online that are easily shared. You can also post, of course, hey, if you're interested, like once you start building a following, you'll realize that there's going to be people outside of your network that may be interested in what you're talking about, that may not be involved in Niken. So of course you want to promote your Niken business as well. But the big red flag that I throw up is don't only promote, because no one likes to hear someone shouting into an empty room. So what social networking and Twitter especially is good at is conversation in relatively real time. So if you post something out to your downline or your followers, and people start replying you and having a conversation with you, make sure to respond back to them and make it a two-way conversation, and don't just, as I said, if you're only posting stuff about your business, and you're only posting links to try and make money or try and generate leads, people are just going to hear it as shouting, and that's absolutely not what we want. So so again, Niken posts these proper nutrition, nutrition tips, inspirational posts of helping people to be on fire for their business, which is always good. We also, with personal Twitter accounts, what I like to do is let people know where you are. So if you're going to an in-home, you don't have to obviously you don't have to let them know your specific address, but hey, you're about to go to the convention, or for instance, Igor, you're in Las Vegas right now. That's something that I would share and tweet. Hey, I'm at Las Vegas, and it's as easy as sending a text message on your phone. If you're familiar with how to do that, you can send a tweet.
Right.
So, and especially if you're familiar with sending a text message under the certain limit, which is beginning to go away as smartphones become more and more available. But if you know how to get under the text limit, then you're good to go on Twitter. So, for example, Justin Bieber tweets, "We are in the building." So he's apparently at his concert hall, wherever that is right now. So those are the kind of things that I would tweet as a business person. So where you're at, the kind of things you're doing in your life. Go ahead.
One other question. So a tweet can also be a retweet. So you just so it's not generally that you have to because you said have 3 a day. It also means just taking something that you find interesting and then just retweet it. Like I said before, the most important thing is just start playing around with it, become familiar with it. It takes a little bit of time to get used to, but if you do a little bit every day, it becomes kind of second nature. And I think that's important in the world today. We cannot neglect that more and more millions of people are using these platforms. They're using it for a variety of reasons. But for us, to especially as a network marketer, as a relationship builder, I think it's really vitally important that we come to grips and come to ease with these platforms, because they're here to stay. And that is one of the aspects that we, of course, as the Royal Alliance, and with the help of Bobby Jones, are trying to establish for each and every one of you that are listening and that want to grow your business, incorporate things that might feel unusual for you today or not feel right, but become used to it and play around with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I got a message today from, I'll just read it.
Yep.
I got a message on Facebook today from someone that I wasn't connected with. They found me on Facebook through the videos we've been doing. Right. She says, "Listening to you has given me a lot of work because I'm out of my comfort zone. So you're precious to all of us just beginning the journey through these new technologies and networks. Thanks for sharing and your advice. So I hope she's okay with me sharing that. But so, it is new territory. It is uncomfortable. It is going to feel weird and unusual. But I tell you, after a week of just kind of diving in with both feet and just kind of getting used to, just kind of playing with the tools, because to me, it's about play. It's about fun. If you're not having fun with your business or with your sharing or your networking or social platforms, then it's not. If it's too much work, then you're doing something wrong, in my opinion. If you're not having fun with the platforms, then something about the way you're using it is not right. So make sure that you're having fun. Make sure that you're following interesting people. Make sure that you are sharing interesting content and really just participating in the conversation that is happening. Mike sent me the metaphor of, and it's a very apt metaphor. This is the new water cooler conversation. This is the new leaning over your neighbor's fence and talking to him. Except that now your neighbors are 875 million people on Facebook. And that can seem overwhelming and intimidating, but it's really just fun. When we start connecting with people that live thousands of miles away, but it feels as though you're sitting right next to each other. For instance, you and I are 3.5 hours apart right now. You're in Vegas, I'm in Florida. It feels like we're sitting next to each other in the living room. So that's what this is about. That's what it's about, is making sure it's fun, you're connecting with people, and that, if you're having fun with it and you're being passionate about it, people are going to respond to that, and they're going to want to interact with that. They're going to want to be part of that fun. And that's, and then that's how you introduce them to the business, or to whatever it is that you're excited about that day, whether it be sports or the new product that Nikan has. So, have fun with it. Don't feel intimidated. Just kind of dive in and play with it. And if you have any questions, leave them in comments here, or tweet us, or send us a Facebook message, and we will get back to you and answer those questions. So I think that's it. We've run about an hour. So again, if you got any questions, just leave them in comments, and we'll respond as soon as we can. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.